Hey yogis, welcome to Sacred Lotus Yoga. I'm Sarah and thanks so much for joining me for today's yoga practice. This class has been designed to soothe the soul and rid ourselves of any feelings of stress or anxiety. Together, we'll slow things down and pay particular attention to our breath whilst working to dispel what no longer serves us and bring ourselves back into the present. Making your way into a comfortable seat, sitting up onto your heels. If you find it's a little bit difficult for the knees, you could always place a blanket on the knees, or maybe place a blanket or a pillow in between the hips and the heels. We're going to sit up nice and tall and find nice length through the spine. We're going to work on opening the chest. We're going to do a few little breathing techniques just to start us off and really come into our class today. So, sitting nice and tall, nice and comfortable, we're going to bring our hands back behind us, taking hold of opposite elbow or maybe down to the arms, just where you can comfortably take hold of. This is going to allow us to open through the chest, opening the heart space for more space for our breath to flow. So taking hold of opposite elbow, or if you have enough space through the chest, you could always bring your hands into prayer behind your back. Gently begin to close your eyes. Welcome yourself onto the mat. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is just to get onto the mat, but when you're here, you've made it. Just know, right now, you're exactly where you need to be. None of the other stuff matters. We'll put that all aside. Leave that off the mat. We're going to begin to focus on our breath. Just noticing each inhale and each exhale. And you notice the pace, noticing the depth. During times of stress, anxiety, we tend to shallow, deep and sharp breathe. This is activating our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight response. We'll try and soften that, bring some ease back into the body. See if you can find more depth by following the breath in through the nose, down to the chest, and flow the breath to the bottom of the belly as you imagine it reaching the mat. Now follow the breath back up, out through the body as it leaves your nose. Inhaling full and exhaling. So no rush with the breath, taking your time. This isn't a competition. You're just going to go as slowly and softly as your body can. Notice with each exhale as the body begins to soften. Your shoulders relax. Unclench the jaw. Allow the muscles in the neck to release. Begin to bring a small smile to your face. And just know that everything is going to be okay. Gently begin to blink your eyes open to bring yourself back into the room. We're going to move through our class really slowly today and really focus on our breath. So if you want to keep your eyes closed for as much of the practice as you can, please do. It'll really help you to focus on what feels good in the body and notice every change. You can open your eyes just to have a look at the pose in the beginning and then maybe shut back off. So we're going to work now just on opening through our chest. As we inhale, we reach our hands up towards the sky, looking up towards the fingertips. As we exhale, the palms face forward, draw the arms down into cactus. And float the arms closed, allow the body to fold in on itself. So no big fancy movements here, just what feels good. Inhale, float the arms up, really soft movements. Exhale, float down into cactus. And close through the body. Inhale, floating up, slight back bend. Exhale, cactus arms as we close. Last one. Inhale, floating up. Exhale, closing through the body. Lovely. We'll make our way from here to tabletop to hands and knees. Nice and slowly. We're going to move to our slowest cat-cow. So we're going to take time in each pose. So making your way into cow. Knees under the hips, about hip-width distance apart. And the wrists are under the shoulders. Nice, soft body. We're going to drop our belly and lift our tailbone open through the chest. As we come into our cow pose, we'll spend a few breaths here. Just really noticing, feeling into the body. As you open through the throat, you send the breath down through the front of the body. Feeling that nice stretch in the belly. We're going to gently round into cat pose by dropping the head and beginning to look towards the knees. As we peel our spine up towards the mat, our shoulder blades begin to separate. The lower belly hugs in ever so slightly. And we're into what looks like an angry cat as our spine peels towards the sky. Now noticing the breath as it flows down through the spine. And back out through the body. Lovely, gently come back to center. From here we're going to make our way into camel pose. Sitting up high, sitting onto the knees. We want to keep the feet at the knees, hip-width distance apart, and bring the hands back behind the lower body. We're going to begin to send the hips slightly more forward as the shoulder blades roll back. So these are deep, heart-opening poses to really go deep, deep into the chest, find more space for the breath. So bringing the hands to the hips, begin to drop the head back. Only go to where it feels comfortable for you today. We're not trying to go into our deepest pose, but we're trying to find what's working, what we need today. Stay here and work on that deep breathing. If you feel you need to take it a little bit deeper, you can always begin to bend a little bit further back so you come into your full camel, taking hold of either heel. Stay with your breath. Begin to come out of the pose, walking the hands back up the body and sitting back onto the heels, nice and slowly. Just take a breath. Notice how the body feels. Such a lovely feeling after coming out of camel pose. You can really feel that opening through the chest and shoulders. We're going to walk our way now into our child's pose. So big toes touch, knees as comfortably wide as you can go. Again, we're not trying to go into the deepest pose. It's what feels good today. Walk your hands out in front of you. We're going to melt our forehead down towards the mat. If your hips are a good bit of the way from the heels, not to worry, that doesn't matter at all. And once you're in your child's pose, just soften everything to the mat. pose is wonderful for helping to release any tension through the neck and shoulders. Noticing and feeling the forehead press against the mat. Noticing the gentle stretch in the ankles and the hips. And gently make your way out of our child's pose. Bring your head away from the mat. I'm going to make our way down onto our back. I'm going to work through a couple of inversions. Inversions are any pose where your heart comes over your head, which are wonderful for stress release. So make your way down onto your back. We'll start out in bridge. So walk the heels towards the body so you can almost graze them with your fingertips. Feet are hip-width distance apart and you're nicely rested down onto the mat. Plant the hands down beside you, long away from the body. Inhale, and as you exhale, begin to lift the hips away from the mat, sending them high up towards the sky. Squeezing into the glutes, grounding through both feet. Make sure that you've softened through the neck, that you're not clenching into the jaw. Either hold here, or if you feel you can take it a little bit deeper, you can lift the hips up even higher, walk the hands, the arms under the body, and interlace the fingers. That'll just give you a bit of a deeper heart opener. Focus on the breath. Keeping that wonderful breath that we created at the start of our class. And gently release the arms and begin to lower the hips down towards the mat and hug the knees into the belly. You could rock side to side, shimmying left and right, just to make sure you're not holding tension in the lower back. Keeping it nice and soft. We're going to make our way into our deepest inversion today. You might need to scoot the body down a little bit further on the mat. Make sure you have loads of space around you and you're nice and comfortable. We're going to come in to half plow pose. So we're not going to go into full plow, but we're going to have our legs extended towards the sky with the support of our arms. So protecting our joints. Make sure that your elbows are in line under your shoulders. Pick up the knees, draw them into the body. We're going to begin to send the feet away from the body as we pick up the hips, bringing the hands back behind the lower back as you extend the legs long up towards the sky. Don't worry if they need to be bent. Don't worry if the knees need to be bent into the body like this. Perfectly fine. It's your inversion, it's your pose. Do what suits you. If you feel you want to go into full plow, you absolutely can, extending both legs out behind you. Otherwise, staying with the legs pointing up towards the sky. And just holding, and notice the breath. You really want to follow the breath down to the spine in this pose. Down to the body. And gently coming out, bending into one knee at a time. Just plant both feet back down onto the mat. And release the arms into cactus, bending at the elbows. And just dropping the knees towards the left and send the gaze to the right. Twisting into the belly. And just beginning to let everything go. Let the weight of the body become heavy. Allowing your fingertips to naturally curl Allowing the knees to drop heavy. Imagining that we're twisting our body, we're rinsing. As if we're a wet towel, and we're rinsing and releasing any stress. Letting go of that anxiety, of that worry, of anything that we don't need to hold on to. Gently make your way back to center, bring your knees back up, your head back up as well. And just take it to the opposite side. Bring your head over to the left, drop your knees towards the right. Get nice and comfortable here in your twist. You soften the shoulder blades. Soften and smooth the muscles in your face. Uncrease your forehead. Allow your jaw to hang heavy. And gently come back up to center once again. Just going to drop our knees into butterfly from here. So bringing your soles of the feet to touch and allow the knees to drop heavy. You can keep your arms in cactus, maybe rest them on your belly. If you want, you can bring them up and overhead just for a full front body opening, just to really connect with the breath. You can walk your legs closer to the body or further away, just to what feels right for you, what feels right for your hips today. Just begin to notice the space you've created. Notice how the breath flows a little bit more free. Notice how more still the body is. How you've slowed down everything. Notice the connection with the body and the mat. Do you notice the support that you have? Allowing gravity to naturally draw your knees closer towards the ground. So you open through the hips. And gently coming out of our pose, begin to bring your arms down alongside the body and gently close the knees, drawing them together. From here, we're going to make our way into our Shavasana. So you want to stay lying on the mat, take up as much space as you can, or maybe you want to make your way up into a comfortable seated position, just to where it feels right for you today. To your class, to your body, to what feels right for you, wherever you need to be. And once you're there, begin to find some stillness. Begin to notice how you feel now from how you felt in the beginning of the class. As you notice what brought you here. Notice what you've achieved in a short space of time. And you can make such a huge difference to how you feel. You're always going to have things happening around you that you can't control. But just know that you can control how you feel, how those things affect you. If you ever feel really anxious or stressed, know that you do have the full control to not let it affect you. And thank you very much for joining me for today's class. I hope you've enjoyed it. I do hope you feel a little bit more calm, a little bit more ready for whatever the day, the night, the week ahead might throw at you. And bring your hands wherever they are in front of the heart center. And we softly bow. Namaste.